our Taking Stock mystery guest. I've got no idea who it is, but I'm told this person is really into recess. Find out what that means ahead on Taking Stock. This is Taking Stock on Bloomberg. I'm Pim Fox. Now, my next guest is a complete mystery to me, but my producers have kindly given me and you a couple of hints. Apparently, the phrase all work and no play doesn't apply to her. All right, her, we've got female. Her work is play, and she's using her Ivy League education and Wall Street background to help shape the leaders of the future. Let's bring out our mystery guest. Welcome to Taking Stock.
Thank you.
Now, I've got to ask you a couple of questions. This is, I feel like I'm Orson Bean and Kitty Carlisle Hart all rolled into one. They said recess and play. Are you involved in something having to do with schools?
Yes.
You are. And are you a school teacher?
No.
No. Are you involved in New York City public schools?
Yes.
You are. You're involved in New York City public schools, but you're not a school teacher. Are you a mentor of some kind?
No.
No. Do you have a program in the schools of the city of New York?
Yes.
You do. Is the program indoors or outdoors in the schools?
Outdoors.
It's outdoors in the schools?
Yes.
Do you have something to do with schoolyards, for example? Or
Yes.
Schoolyards?
Yes.
Do you build schoolyards in the city of New York?
We do.
You do?
Yes.
Are you a nonprofit organization?
Yes.
A nonprofit organization that builds schoolyards in the city of New York. Are you involved in playgrounds, right?
Yes.
Playgrounds. You were in Crane's New York business, weren't you?
I was.
You were. And I'm blanking on your name. I apologize, but
It's
it has
okay,
something to
that's
do
very
with
impressive.
Go to Play or something. Are you involved in this organization?
Yes.
Go to Play.
Out to play.
Go out to play.
Yes.
And is that the name of it?
It's out to play.
Out to play.
Yes.
That's pretty close, right?
Very
We
close.
did this, all right.
Very close.
Now you have to tell me your name.
Andrea Wenner.
Andrea Wenner. Very nice to meet you.
Very nice to meet you.
I remember this because I'm a product of the New York City public school
really?
system, and I remember getting something from one of the, I think it was a PS 101 or something in Forest Hills, New
Yes.
York, about their new playground.
Yes.
Was that you?
That was us. We just finished that one last spring.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
How did you start this whole thing? What made you think of building playgrounds in the city of New York?
Well, I moved to New York in 2000 and lived near an elementary school that had no playground. So the kids would just go out for recess and they would stand on the street and sit on the stoop and not really do anything active. And I grew up in Massachusetts being very active, and it just kind of struck me as kind of strange. And when I was in business school, I learned of an organization called Take the Field, which had rebuilt high school athletic fields in a public-private partnership model. And I thought, why not do what they did, but do it at the elementary school level and do it for playgrounds for younger kids. And I started to look into it and found that there was a huge need, and that roughly at the time about 300 elementary schools didn't have playgrounds. And so I started to develop this whole business plan and entered a bunch of business plan competitions while I was in school, and ultimately decided to give it a shot when I finished.
Now, as I remember, as part of the article, you were part of a group of people that they had selected as up-and-comers in terms of really making the world a better place, basically. And as part of that, you kind of brought in private money to help do this. Was that difficult?
It is challenging. It's definitely challenging. The one good thing about our program, I think, or one of the good things about our program, is that it's very tangible. So when we go to talk to potential donors, they can see, very well what it is that we're doing. We can show them pictures of a schoolyard before we started, and then another one after we finished. And it's very real. It comes to life for them. So I think it's easy for them to get it, and it's hard to argue with the need for it and the impact that it has on the kids in the school.
And it's not just in schools that are necessarily run down or have bad physical plans. It's all different types of schools in the city right now.
All different types of schools, exactly. And we really focused on the areas that we felt needed it most. But at the end of the day, our mission is to make sure that every single elementary school has a proper playground. And that doesn't matter where that school might be located.
Now, how do they lobby to actually be part of the program? I mean, if a school wants something like this, they get in touch with you, or you get in touch with them? How does that work?
Both ways. So we've heard from some schools schools that have written to us and said, we have a terrible schoolyard, can you come help us? And then in other instances, we've gone around to schools and identified exactly which ones need it and gone to them and said, look, we have this great program, we'd like to fix your schoolyard, are you interested? And, pretty much 9.9 times out of 10 they say yes.
I bet they do. Have you found that there's any particular playground activity that is more favored in New York as opposed to maybe what other areas would like? I mean, in terms of they want more basketball courts, or what do they want?
It's interesting, actually. From neighborhood to neighborhood, it does vary a little bit. So some neighborhoods really want basketball, others it's kickball. They all want jungle gyms. We get some requests for pools and water slides, which we unfortunately can't do.
Pools and water slides, maybe that's a bigger challenge.
That might be next.
All right. Well, we're going to continue the conversation. We've
terrific.
got more ahead with our no longer a mystery guest. We're going to talk more about schools and building playgrounds. This is Taking Stock on Bloomberg. I'm Pim Fox. We're back with our not a mystery guest right now, Andrea Wenner of, go ahead, say the name of the organization.
Out to Play.
Out to Play.
With the number 2.
Out to Play. And people can find out more information about this organization by going to your website, .org, I'm assuming?
Exactly.
And what kind of challenges are you facing now? You mentioned that you're not going to necessarily be installing water slides or pools, but is it just to have more of these playgrounds in New York City public schools?
Yeah, like I said, our goal is to make sure that every school has one, and we're actually pretty close to finishing that goal. So we have about 45 or so left to go, and we're hoping that by 2012 we'll be all done with them.
What kind of cost are we talking about? Is it vary dramatically from school to school, or is there a range?
It does vary pretty dramatically. On average, they're about $200,000 per yard, but we have done ones that are $50,000 up to $500,000. So it really just depends on the size of the yard and what kind of shape it's in.
Is there anything that we should know in terms of innovations in playground equipment? I mean, there's all of the soft tiling that goes on the ground, so if anybody falls, nothing gets damaged. What's new in the world of playgrounds?
Well, we're a little restricted in terms of what we're allowed to do in the schoolyards because there's so many kids using them, and we have to make sure that they're very safe and that.
And a lot of different age groups, I would imagine.
Exactly. So we don't necessarily have the most innovative playground equipment in there, but we have very safe playground equipment and very high quality playground equipment. And we really try to make sure that we have stuff for kids of all ages and all athletic abilities, so that the children that are not as interested in playing basketball can go run on the track or can go climb on the jungle gym.
Now, we were talking during the break about how there are, at times, parks that are located nearby various schools, and that they have been sort of the places where kids go to hang out, but that's considered to be, in some cases, pretty dangerous.
In some cases during the school day, just because the school can't monitor it as well, and they can't make sure that it's as clean and as safe as they might like. So having something right on school grounds is really critical. And it's a time of day where they're guaranteed to be outside, they're guaranteed to have supervision. And so we wanted to make sure that when they go out there, they can make the most of their time and get the activity that they need and all the developmental benefits that go along with that.
Now, are you getting any support, any financial help from the city at all, or from the government?
A lot of financial support from the city. The city actually provides about 85% of the cost of all of our playgrounds. So it's a really good match for us, and we go to both elected officials as well as the Department of Education to get funding.
And what about the actual school officials, whether it be principals or teachers of physical education departments? I mean, are they involved in the planning of the playgrounds?
They're very much involved. So we meet with all of the schools, and we do a whole design process with them where our architects go and talk to kids and parents and teachers and really find out what they want. So the children get to participate? Absolutely. They do drawings, and they learn about what it is to be an architect and how you would go about planning a space and fitting different things in, and how you make sure that it's a safe place for kids to play. So it's a really fun process for them. And then they get to see their ideas come to life when we actually build it, so it's great.
So, Andrea, when are you going national?
I don't know. It's definitely up for debate within our board. Do we want to try and replicate this in other cities? Because the need is not only in New York, it's nationwide. So I don't know. We'll see. We're still thinking about it.
And so it's possible, though?
It's a possibility. I would say it's maybe a little bit of a slim possibility, but it's not out of the question.
All right, but you've still got some ways to go in New York City.
Yes. Yeah, we still have some work to do here, and we want to get that done.
Well, thank you very much, Andrea Wenner, coming to us from Out to Play.
With the number 2.
Out to Play with the number 2, sharing your thoughts and giving us some insight into what's happening with schoolyards around the city.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you.